This could be a big shift for local high school students. Kids in Norfolk soon could get up to 90 minutes of extra sleep.
The school board has directed the administration to look into a later start of the school day. Robert Boyd has the story.
Well, I spoke with students and parents here at Lake Taylor High School, and they say there are definitely pros and cons when it comes to potentially moving back the start of the school day. When the buzzer sounds, Naomi Castle says her son doesn't move an inch.
I have to call him 1,000 times. Justice, get up. Justice, get up. He's like, I'm tired, Mom. Get up.
Grandma says by the time he gets home, he's down for the count.
He comes home and he's so tired he goes to bed.
Norfolk School Board member Tanya Bassine says, unfortunately, this is normal behavior among teens.
I get lots of feedback from students about, wanting to take a nap in the middle of the day.
So the school board has directed the administration to begin looking into ways to push back the start of the school day from 7:25 to as late as 9 o'clock.
The Centers for Disease Control, the National Sleep Foundation, and a number of other health agencies have recommended that high school students begin their school day at a later time.
Bassine says not getting enough sleep can have long-term detrimental effects.
Not only poor academic outcomes that may result, but also adolescents are more likely to be at risk for depression.
Meanwhile, Naomi demonstrates how her son walks to the bus.
I think it's a great idea because they do a whole lot during the school day, so in order to give them more sleep, they should be more well rested.
But the school board also acknowledges there will be challenges. A later start also means a later dismissal, which could affect everything from after-school activities to transportation to part-time jobs.
Some of them going to work, so the time that they get out now is good because it's really they're preparing them for the work world, for the future, for being an adult.
Glenda Wiggins says if students want more sleep, they should just go to bed earlier. But her granddaughter says it's not that simple.
I go to bed on time, and I wake up just like, dang, I'm tired,
Now, if the start of the school day is eventually moved back, that change won't go into effect until the fall of 2019. In Norfolk, Robert Boyd, 13 News Now.
A school bus driver is facing charges tonight after that deadly collision with a dump truck in New Jersey. The 77-year-old driver is charged with death by auto. Investigators say he tried to merge onto Interstate 80 in the Mount Olive area earlier this month, then sharply turned toward a U-turn area. The bus collided with a dump truck, killing a 10-year-old fifth grader and a 51-year-old teacher. More than 40 others were injured. A detention hearing is set for tomorrow.
Newport News police officers have a new leader as of today. The city named Steve Drew as the department's new chief after a months-long search.
He beat out 20 applicants for the job. Chinuher was there today when he was introduced.
A 9-month-long search comes to an end with Steve Drew, now the new police chief in Newport News.
I am very, very impressed, and I am stepping into a world-class organization.
Drew comes to Newport News from Richmond after nearly 25 years. He served in multiple different positions, the latest as deputy chief. He now brings that experience as well as his advocacy for community policing to Newport News.
We're going to have a heavy influence on community engagement with our citizens, our neighborhoods, our businesses, our faith leaders.
Through that, Drew wants to build relationships and trust with the community, hoping police and residents can come to understand each other better.
So I think they have to trust us. They have to know that we care about them, and I think that's the first start. And that's one thing that we will push heavy in our organization, that citizens need to know that this police department cares about their concerns and their issues.
He's a strong proponent of community partnerships and community engagement, and I think that's critical as the police department moves forward.
Just as importantly as winning the trust of the community, targeting crime will be a mission.
We are going to reduce crime in this city. We are not going to allow the criminal element to come in here and prey on the good citizens of Newport News.
All right, and he starts his job on July 2nd, but the public has a chance to meet Chief Drew next Wednesday. He will be at a meet and greet at police headquarters from 6:30 to 8 o'clock. Chinuher, 13 News Now.
Lieutenant Jeffrey Amon. HN Mark Rittmeyer.
Hubman.
A somber remembrance today hosted by the Navy and the Army ahead of Memorial Day. Joint Base Little Creek Fort Story has lost 88 soldiers and sailors since the attacks of 9/11. Today, all 88 names were read during a bell tolling ceremony. Military leaders say it's important to honor each sacrifice.
You know, we think of Memorial Day, we think of barbecues, we think of all the things that are not related to what the purpose of Memorial Day, which is really to honor our fallen.
A moving sight today at Arlington National Cemetery. About 1,000 Old Guard soldiers who are part of the 3rd U.S. Infantry Regiment of the Army descended upon the cemetery today. They spent time placing American flags at 230,000 grave sites. Many of them also taking a moment to go down on one knee to salute the heroes who were buried there.
Former Virginia Beach-based Navy SEAL receives the Medal of Honor today. President Trump awarded the medal to retired Master Chief Brett Slabinski. The Navy SEAL rescued a team member 16 years ago in Afghanistan during Operation Anaconda. SEAL Team 6 was under heavy enemy fire after their helicopter crashed. Slabinski bravely led his team to rescue a fellow teammate during a 14-hour battle. He is the 12th living service member awarded the medal, the highest military award for bravery. North Korea says it's still willing to sit down for talks with the United States. Earlier today, President Trump abruptly canceled his planned summit with Kim Jong-un, sending the North Korean leader a letter saying the North is angry and hostile. North Korea's foreign minister issued a statement tonight saying they are willing to meet at any time. Kim Jong-un reportedly calling President Trump's decision unexpected and very regrettable.
Allegations of sexual misconduct still plaguing Hollywood, now hitting actor Morgan Freeman. Meanwhile, disgraced movie mogul Harvey Weinstein will surrender to police tomorrow on criminal charges related to sexual assault. ABC's Maggie Rulli has more.
8 women claim actor Morgan Freeman sexually harassed them on movie sets or in other professional settings, according to CNN. One purported incident caught on tape.
I'm enjoying bachelor life immensely because I get to look at you and drool.
This reporter says she did not find the words offensive, but CNN entertainment reporter Chloe Melas says she started to investigate Freeman after he allegedly subjected her to inappropriate behavior at a press junket. Freeman denies the allegations, saying in a statement, "Anyone who knows me or has worked with me knows I am not someone who would intentionally offend or knowingly make anyone feel uneasy. I apologize to anyone who felt uncomfortable or disrespected. That was never my intent." And new developments with another Hollywood heavyweight, Harvey Weinstein. He's expected to turn himself in to New York City police on Friday. Weinstein has been under investigation for months by the Manhattan District Attorney's Office for alleged sexual misconduct. Actress Lucia Evans says in 2004, Weinstein forced her to perform a sexual act on him. And actress De La Huerta has said Weinstein raped her in 2010. These are just 2 of the roughly 80 women who have publicly accused the former film producer of rape, sexual assault, or harassment. Weinstein has denied all charges. When Weinstein turns himself in here in New York, these will be the first criminal charges against him. But he's also under investigation in LA, the UK, and by federal prosecutors here in the U.S. Maggie Rulli, ABC News, New York.
Violence seen at a restaurant in Oklahoma City tonight. Police say a man with a pistol walked into Louis on the Lake, a restaurant on Lake Hefner, and opened fire. He reportedly wounded 2 people before a civilian shot and killed him in the parking lot. It happened around dinner time. We're told the victims are a woman and a girl. They underwent surgery and are expected to survive. Officials say the shooting appeared to be random. More charges tonight against the parents accused of torturing their 10 children in California. Prosecutors have charged Jonathan Allen with 4 more felony counts of lewd acts with the child. Allen and his wife, Ina Rogers, appeared in court today and pled not guilty to nearly 24 charges. The couple accused of waterboarding their young children, shooting them with an airsoft gun, and burning and cutting them. Their home was filthy and littered with animal and human feces. The parents will be back in court in July.